Welcome back to another installment on functions and linear equations. This time around, we would look at inequalities. Okay. The thing about inequalities is it's a hit or miss. In one case, you could very well use the answer choices in your favor to solve the problem. In some cases, you have to actually solve the problem to figure out what the correct answer is. In this video, we would look at both types of problems where in one case you could use the answer choice, in other cases you would have to actually solve the problem to figure out what it is that corresponds to the answer. All right, let's get started. So in the first problem, you're asked to determine which of the following expression is equal to -1 for some values of x. So we don't know what this x value is. Let's assume x equals 0, okay, just to be safe, because it's neither positive nor negative. So one thing you also have to keep in mind is an absolute of a value, okay, is always positive. It's always positive, right? That means if you want a negative number, that means there should be another negative number outside of the absolute value to give you a negative number. Right away, you know it's this choice because all of these will give you a positive number. Adding another positive number to a positive number will only give you positive outcome, right? All of these will give you positive outcome, right? Only this can give you a negative outcome. So that's the answer, but let's actually solve it. Okay, so that's what I meant. You can use the answer choice and your knowledge to figure out the right answer. But if you can't do that, you can work in a forward direction to come up with the answer. So let's substitute x equals 0. That means 1 minus 0 plus 6 will give you 7. That's not equal to -1. Similarly, 1 minus 0 plus 4 is 5. That's not equal to -1. 1 minus 0 plus 2 is 3. That's not equal to -1. So 1 minus 0 minus 2 is 1 minus 2 is -1, which is equal to -1. So that is the correct answer. Now this problem, second problem, you can't do substitution because it doesn't work that way. Go ahead and try. You won't be able to make sense of. You would think that all the answers are incorrect, that you might actually think there's a typographical error with the question, which is why I said in some cases you might benefit from using the answer choices. In some cases, you just have to solve inequalities. I've provided an entire series of videos on the topic of inequalities. I highly recommend you go watch them if you're having trouble with inequalities, right? So let's draw a boundary line and let's proceed. We have 2x plus 7 equals 5, right? First, treat the items within the absolute symbol as it is without any modification. So 2x plus 7 equals 5. 2x equals -2, x equals -1. This time around, let's pick a negative symbol in front of this, and you can do 2x plus 7 equals -5, right? If I just divide by negative both sides, then 2x equals -12, is it? Yeah, x equals -6. For some value of x, right? X equals -1 is not one of the answer choice, but x equals -6 is, so that is the correct answer. In other words, what I'm saying here is you need to know how to solve a problem, irrespective of whether you can use the answer choice or not. You need to always have the forward motion of solving the problem. That's the best way to get a better score, right? So let's go to the second problem. For what value of x is x minus 1 absolute -1 equals 1, right? So we already know that an absolute value is always a positive number, right? right? So in this case, you are welcome to use the answer choices to see what it works. So if you choose -1 minus -1, that's -2 minus 1. So that's 2 minus 1 equals 1. So that works. Let's do 0. 0 minus 1 minus 1. That's 1 minus 1 equals 0. That's not equal to 1. 1 minus 1 minus 1. That's 0 minus 1 equals -1, not equal to 1. So that won't work. So 2 minus 1 minus 1 is 1 minus 1 equals 0. That's not equal to 1. So that won't work. So the correct answer is -1. And this is another one of those cases where you cannot just use the answer choice to figure it out. So we have an absolute of 3x minus 5 equals -1. So let's treat 3x minus 5 equals -1. So 3x equals -1 plus 5 is 4. So x equals 4 over 3. Clearly, that's not one of the answer choices. So let's do the negative component of it. So negative of 3x minus 5 equals -1. You can divide by negative on both sides, which would make it 3x minus 5 equals +1. So 3x equals 6, x equals 2. That's also now one of the choices given, so there is no such value of x is the correct answer. There's also an easier way, right? This term is an absolute value. How can an absolute value even be negative, right? So that is also an indication that there is no such value of x. Okay. So the graph, you're given a graph and a function, whatnot, and you're asked for what value of x is the value of f of x is at its maximum. This is the maximum value, right? Which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So y equals 4, x equals 1, right? And it's asking for the x value. So x equals 1 is when the function is maximum. Okay. Let's finish up with problem 6. So we have 3 minus an absolute of 3 minus n equals to 3, right? What's the value of n? So 3 minus n equals 3. So 3 minus 3 plus n equals 3. This is 0, so n equals 3. That's 1. Or you can also do, this is a positive component. The negative component would be 3 minus, right? Minus of 3 minus n equals 3. Do you see what I did? Because this is an absolute, we have to add a negative symbol to it. So 3 minus 3 plus n equals 3. So this gets carried away. So 3 plus 3 minus n equals 3. So 6 minus n equals 3. Negative n equals -3, n equals 3. Either way, you're going to get n equals 3 as the correct answer. All right. Thank you for watching. I'll see you with another video on functions and linear equations. So stay tuned.